He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Welcome to the Ministry of Truth. I am your host, Javi, your number one host on this show. Got a couple things for you today. Hold on, I think this is the wrong song. I did. Hold on. Here it is. So anyway, does you know Donald Trump got indicted for the 19,000th time this past week and arrested, fingerprinted, obviously fingerprinted, mugshot taken. What's up, James? But this mugshot that they took, I don't think they realized just how viral and famous it's going to be. They thought it was going to be a gotcha moment for the Democratic Party. Like, yeah, we got him. Well, I don't think it's working out the way they think it should.
I want to go to LA.
Well, shout out Patriot J, Benny Johnson, Big Bongino, Alex Jones. Free my dogs and lock up the radical left's gone crazy. I don't bail, I won't see inside a cell. Shout out Thugger, free my slime, slat, YSL. They tryna lock me up, but I'm plugged in ATL. Got homies doing life in jail, they living in hell. These DAs acting silly, my mugshot is worth a billy. So some merchant millie, shot McMillie out in Philly. Shot the baby, shot the Sosa, Benny Butcher. Them my rollers called me racist, but these rappers riding with me, them my soldiers. Mega, I am not who they are after. I'm just in the way they want to get to you, but I won't let them cold-hearted. No, I'm artist, getting back to where I started. I don't need to do the race, I'ma beat them RICO charges. And if I go to prison, you can't do me like the Clintons. I'll be laid up, eating steak with Secret Service, chilling, screaming.
See?
Orange
That's
man
what people don't
bad,
understand.
the whole world mad, thug life. Shout out
Donald,
all of my MAGA base shads, coming for the deep state. I will stop the New World Order, but before that I'll finish walls at the border. YSL, // shout out Thugger. Trini got nothing on us.
Not Donald Trump, just a local artist from Atlanta. Now I've got two videos for you today. One is just because, talk about Viking culture and my beard and long hair a lot. And I also said that there's a reason behind Vikings having beards and long hair and unkept. So this guy will go over it. Second video I got for you is an hour long. Some of us heard the term furries before. We've seen furries before, but what is a fucking furry? Now, I do not support furries at all in this documentary, but it's a real life documentary. What's up, Rob? And then we should go from there and see how it looks. Yeah, they always make new rules up, Gino. They make them up as they go. But anyway, let's get to the beards and why Viking culture almost requires it.
Välkommen allesammans. Beards in the Viking Age and before. Just general history fans would like to know about kind of accurate beards that were used in the Viking Age, but also one of the most common questions I get are from those of us following the Norse religion. Is it a requirement that men grow beards? Short answer is yes, guys. And this has even led many people in the military to get a religious exemption to
Just
be allowed to
started
grow a beard. In the Norse
right after I
beliefs,
retired. Yeah.
it's not like we have a clear religious text telling us this, that we need to grow beards, like, for example, the Sikh religion has. But there are
This
plenty
guy
of
right here,
sources
actually,
mentioning how,
God
and
damn it.
also mentions how
Ah,
they
no.
created the three classes of men. Slave of my channel, plenty of
This
sources
guy right here. Ah, I did it to me again. Too slow.
have in the pre-Christian Norse culture. So here we go,
fuck
onto
it.
the sources. Before we start, very
No product
special
placement.
announcement. I am now working. So most important, we have numerous sources kind of reflecting the fact that all men had beards in Scandinavia at the time. Just the way the literature and the stories and even laws were written, it suggests that beards were simply something that all men had. Let's start with some foreign sources first. The Anglo-Saxons describe the Vikings in many different sources, but one here, shortly after the raid of Lindisfarne, the Anglo-Saxon bishop Alcuin wrote this in his letter to King Ethelred of Northumbria, basically saying that long hair and beards were a pagan Viking thing, kind of like condemning the English king Ethelred for choosing to keep the same kind of hair and beard as the enemy Vikings did, as opposed to cutting everything short or shaven like the Christians were supposed to.
So basically saying that in order to be a good Christian, you have to have shaven face and short hair. But I think Jesus had short hair, but a beard.
Supposed to do, according to Alcuin at least. Another one, we have another Anglo-Saxon source from around the same time, an anonymous letter from an Anglo-Saxon to his brother, again, kind of accusing his brother of adopting the Viking clothing and hairstyles. He says, you dress yourself in the Danish fashion, and he has bald neck and blinded eyes. So blinded eyes presumably means something like bangs that go a little bit longer than the eyes.
I don't know what you're
And
talking about.
bald neck, they think this could either refer to like the front, like me here, I keep the beard, but the neck,
Yeah, you should have let the neck
shaved
grow,
or
dude. Be a
short,
man.
just because it feels nicer. But it also could refer to the hairstyle where the Vikings basically shaved the back of
Which I
their
would never
head
do.
and neck pretty high up, like you see Bjorn having as he was a kid in the TV show. But this was a hairstyle attested in many different sources in the Viking Age, when they kept the top long and back short. We have another
You know what's
source,
crazy though when I think about it?
an Arab.
You know I was born with blue eyes and like 2 weeks later somehow they changed to brown. 2 weeks.
Actually observing the Vikings in the east of Europe. Even Fadlan noted that the Rus Vikings all had beards, and they bleached their beards to a
Red
yellow
beards.
or red color. We know this in the archaeology. Dyes and bleaches have been found. They would have mostly been using lye for this and some type of soap. The Germanic tribes also bleached their hair with
Shit,
this
sorry,
same
Nat.
method many hundreds of years before the Viking Age, and according to Pliny the Elder, men bleached their hair even more than the women. So blonde or red hair and beards were valued among the Germanic peoples for hundreds and possibly thousands of years before the Viking Age. So those are some foreign sources. Let's talk a little bit more about the spiritual nature of beards. In the Poetic Edda poem Rígstula, in the early days of human history.
Now before he gets into this, I was talking to my wife about this morning. When I started growing my hair out and growing my beard out, I started to get a lot more like in tune with myself, with nature, and everything around me. And now it kind of makes sense because I just watched this like an hour before it came on, and it makes a lot of sense. Really, Gino?
It is told how Heimdall created the three classes of men: slaves,
You're right. I'm sorry.
freemen, and
I have
chieftains,
read about
thrall,
that.
carl, and jarl. The descendants of all freemen were said to keep trimmed beards. And it also mentions how the first sons of this freeman lineage, there's a bunch of their names all listed here, but a couple of their names here are Budinskeggi, with beard bound, like meaning something like not allowing the beard to hang unkept, and also Bratskeg, with beard carried high. So there are some clues here showing that all free men were to have beards, but they were supposed to keep them relatively short
problem, Nat.
and well groomed. In another Poetic Edda poem,
Don't rumble. If you're chatting, I'm not ignoring you. I have to flip back and forth because the StreamYard doesn't show me rumble chats.
Atlakvida, basically implying that all warriors had beards here. So in another source, Völsunga Saga, it tells how all the warriors wept with tears running down their beards when their chieftain died.
There you go.
And then we can finally speak about an actual law called Göttalagen.
Yo,
One part of it
some of these laws are fucking nuts. It'd be cool if they were still true.
states that there is supposed to be a fine for pulling hair and beard. If you pulled out a patch of someone's beard hair, you would have to pay a fine for that. And cutting someone's beard was an equal offense to throwing a beer in someone's face, actually, as written in that law code. And in a final section about beards in there, if you put a scar on a man between hat
Hairline
and beard, so somewhere here, that penalty would be either a half or a full mark of silver, depending on how noticeable that wound was. Again, multiple sources there suggesting that all men had beards. The best source, though, that shows the kind of perception of beards in the Viking Age comes in Njál's saga. It shows the perception of having beards versus people who didn't have beards. And here, it basically shows that if you didn't have one, then you would be shamed. You would be not a man. You would be you would have not a good masculine reputation. You wouldn't be considered honorable. In chapter 35, they were talking smack about a man who had bad groomed fingernails, and as opposed to Njál, who didn't even keep a beard, kind of like criticizing him for this. Like, what kind of man are you? You have no beard.
the axe is back.
Another in chapter
What the hell
41,
you gonna do with
they
that?
are talking
Oh,
about
never
a
mind.
revenge. Like, well, who's going to do anything about it? Njál, the beardless Carl, they called him Skeglösa, or the beardless one, implying that if he was to take revenge, there is nothing to fear because he's not really a man. He doesn't have a beard. Another part of this same saga, Njál is again slandered and referred to as the beardless Carl, and his sons were actually called Tavskeglingar, shitbeards, as they were called. So Njál and his whole family were known and basically shamed around the whole Iceland for not being able to grow, either not being able to grow or not willing to grow beards. Lots more in this saga. It is Njál's saga, but he is definitely probably not the protagonist or considered the hero in this saga, because him and his family were mocked the whole time, basically, for not having beards. The real hero of the saga was the honorable Gunnar Holmundarsson, who was said to have a great long beard. This isn't the only saga to do this. There's another one called Kristni Saga. It has a depiction of a pagan Norse group of men making fun of a bishop named Fridrekker because the bishop didn't have a beard. Again, showing that beards were a pagan thing, something that all pagan men kept, and they made fun of the clean-shaven men because this was maybe more associated with Christianity. There's another saga, Rjof's Saga Kraka, where a man named Helgi is a king. He visits Saxland in hopes that the queen there will marry him. Her name was Olof. So Queen Olof doesn't like Helge very much, so she gets him drunk and he passes out. And while he's passed out, she shaves off his hair and beard completely,
This motherfucker.
humiliating him for the whole country to laugh at. And remember, removing someone's beard or hair was considered a crime in some parts of the Viking Age, and just to cut off a patch of a man's
Let
beard,
alone the whole head.
you could be punishable. Helgi later in the story retaliated on Queen Olof by capturing her and holding her prisoner on his ship while he had sex with her against her will. Okay, yeah, he overdid it a bit. That was not necessary, but this just shows us how serious of an offense it was to cut off someone's beard and how important it was for a man's honor. So that's all I'll say for the sources. Let's speak a little bit about the archaeological finds. I'm showing all these images here. These are archaeological finds from the Viking Age. There's quite a lot of these. I'm talking about artwork, statues, runic inscriptions depicting men, and I can pretty much say all
up,
of
Zero
them
Infinity?
have some type of facial hair, like you see here. Yeah, okay. The artistic talent and detail was not that great on these. We can't really get a good idea of exactly what styles of beards they had here. But on all of them, you can at least see some trace of facial hair. And
Calm down. I don't know if you can see his beard. Bless you. Sorry, man.
and I am only aware on all the archaeological finds. I'm only aware of a couple examples from the time that actually depicted men without beards. Funny enough, these are also foreign pieces of artwork depicting Vikings. So
Like,
how
oh,
trustworthy
okay.
are they? I don't know. This one here is a color plates created by an anonymous English group of artists, apparently from the 11th century, and
They
this is
got chin
supposed to
beards,
portray
though.
the great heathen army's invasion of England a few hundred years before this painting was actually done. And only a couple of the men have beards in here, as you can see. We also have the
Oh,
Bayeux tapestry. Apparently,
same.
this was
Same to you.
created by the Norman Queen Matilda, who was William the Conqueror's wife. Very interesting that this is depicting the Normans more than 100 years after they first settled France, about 150 years after they first settled France. But they still use the traditional Viking ships here. However, no beards are to be seen on
Yeah.
any of these men.
Maybe they
If you
stole the
take a
ship.
look there, just note that
Clean.
William the Conqueror himself, in multiple sources and pieces of art, actually did have a beard. So his wife, his French wife, maybe didn't like beards that much. So she maybe designed this tapestry with all clean shaven men just to reflect her values. But hey, that's just an idea. That's all for the video, the sources and the
Thank you.
archaeology. Just for a little bit of fun, let's speak about a few famous Vikings with beards. We
Now, it'll be funny. I think you'll see why. I think it's the first one.
have Odin, of course, who in a few different sources is referred to by different names involving beards. Hydebide means gray beard, as
What do you say? Told you, descendant. But
Odin is called in a couple of
we'll stop
sources.
that one. All right. Now, like I said, it's time to. Oops, that's the wrong one. Opening up my. This is a documentary. It was released on August 1st of this year. So it's perfect timing because I haven't watched it, you haven't watched it, and we'll watch it together. This documentary follows a few groups of furries as social commentary of the fandom, its stigmas, and how it is perceived through sensational media coverage. Approaching a community filled with so many rumors and misconceptions is no easy task. As an exploration of a group of people who share a common love of cartoon animals to reveal the fun and sometimes dark secrets of an escapist community. I'm Norwegian and Filipino, Zero. with a little bit of Scottish thrown in there. But anyway, Lithuania. Wow. All right. I'm worldwide. Anyway, like I said, this is the documentary. I am not saying that I support furries or anything, because I don't. This is just for informational purposes.
Most of these I don't think are drawings back in here. I don't know how many I got more drawings, but there are a few.
I mean, I love dogs
This is
too,
what
but I'm
they
not a
wouldn't
fucking
like,
furry.
is because you see all this stuff. Why is somebody who's supposed to be like thinking about like driving cars and what they're going to do in their life messing around pasting pictures of random dogs into a notebook? So that's why things are better these days, because now you can point anybody to furries and and on the net, and they'll say, hey,
Very true,
even if your
Dino.
teacher doesn't know
Very
about it,
true.
you can say, well, I'm a furry. I like animals because I'm a furry. I mean, I draw this stuff. It's not because I'm totally weird. I just draw this stuff because I'm into this group and into this kind of
Why is your
scene.
hair tied like that?
A lot of double takes downtown Pittsburgh this weekend, Janelle. Yeah, there are a lot of business suits and people going to work. And then you see folks like this. Yes, the furries have arrived.
Folks who have never seen it before, don't be scared. If you see a 6-foot-tall raccoon walking by your window, no, you're not going
Is this
crazy.
a
It's
doctor?
just us.
A lot of people might ask, why is it so popular? What's the draw here?
Everybody loves animals. Everybody loves costumes. We are all about creativity. We are all about imagination. We are all about dreaming. This weekend is our chance to say to the people of Pittsburgh, we want to share our dreams with you.
Okay.
If somebody comes up and wants to know what it's about, tell them what it's about. Cartoon animals, costumes, drawing, art, performance, creativity, dreaming. Every single one of you in here.
Thank you. I'm glad someone remembers the old world and tries to relive it or bring it to light.
This is a remarkable family, a unique community. There is so much it has to offer, so many beautiful things. Don't describe us by what we are not. Use positive imagery. Don't act like you have something to hide. Because quite frankly, I don't think we have anything to hide. This is a magnificent fandom, and to me, there is nothing at all to be ashamed of.
Wait, is he a doctor? Or just by a lab coat? Growing up, I would see mascots. I'm like, man, it would really be cool to be a mascot for like any team, right? But that was it. I'd be a mascot for the game, and then I'd take the costume off. I feel like these motherfuckers take it way more serious.
Do you cover just what furries do that's furry that people don't see in the background? Or what if they're into like sports cars or fast cars or whatever? What other activities, like anything, or are you trying to keep it mainly to the fur scene, do you think?
We're trying to go beyond the scene as well, because it's portraits of people, and ultimately it's more about even people than it is about furries, because we're all just people and just from different backgrounds into different stuff. So definitely any tangents it goes on is where we go.
So wait, this has been going on for more than 5 years? Before 2020? I must have missed it.
I had called myself a furry, but I never really understood it until I was about 17 years old. I went to work as a mascot for a single A baseball team, surprisingly, as a raccoon. And the first
That's
time
why
I
you
got in
get
that suit,
you like my
that
show.
mascot
Okay.
was just completely
I'm glad someone
surreal.
else
I mean, Will
did
was
something
gone.
out of it.
I mean, he was gone. I didn't know who he was anymore. And I was performing in this character, and I just felt, nobody could see me. Nobody knew who I was. So I could be as energetic, as happy, as crazy as I could be, and people loved it. And after that first time I did it, I really felt it's like, this is what it feels like. This one, as you can see, is totally different, and it's different because it's made by a different suit maker, and each suit maker has their own different style. This one specifically was made by Cody Puck. He kind of has a more of a cartoony kind of look, more energetic look, and that's what I kind of wanted to go for, and why I commissioned him to make Diesel 2.0. I try to be as creative as I can, and
I guess
a lot of people come up to me every time and say to me, man, there's not many raccoons in the fandom. Your suit is like the best one I've ever seen. And of course, I'm just like, stop, come on, you're making me blush. Of course, I am blushing inside when they say that. But and I try to add, like I squeak talk a lot, and that's one thing a lot of people view me for.
Oh my God.
It's kind of like a brand, really, is what it is. Everybody tries to find their own unique style on what they do. They try to bring it to life, and that's what people kind of can get to know you for. They'll hear me squeak talking, but they'll be out of view, and they're like, "Oh my God, I hear Diesel. Is he here?" And sure enough, it's me. Everybody has a unique story.
Oh,
the more and more you get involved, you'll see that it is so easy to get to meet people, who they are specifically, and who's behind that.
Oh, so furries are just
who's behind that persona or that fursuit if they have one.
And raccoons. Holy shit, it's a real person.
All right. Dom, if you will. This little part ends up being on the inside.
Can you zip me up?
When I first started, very few people had a suit. Only if you had tons of money did you have one, and only if you were a really hardcore furry did you have one. And it's almost a rite of passage, if you will, for people to get a suit, because it really lets them put on their persona, live it, and do what they want to do, and see themselves how they want to be seen.
Okay. I was wondering
because I wanted to be able to hear some stuff. That's why the other one is not floppy. But it means a lot to me to be able to even do this, and to be able to walk around and
holy shit, the mouth
be something different, and something that I wanted to do. So it's important that I'm even able to do this for you and show you my floppy ear of cuteness.
Have you ever come out here in these woods, like with your fursuit before?
This is a first. I've been in the woods, but not these woods. So this will be interesting. They said that there was hunters around.
Oh.
To be honest, I've got to say they're probably not going to shoot a 6-foot tall fox.
I'm thinking they would shoot a 6-foot tall fox.
Maybe a short season. Maybe they need a trophy. And come on, this is a trophy. Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah, you're not escaping a farmer or a hunter. I think you should be on all fours if you want to be a fucking fox, stupid. Can't touch this one. Wait a second, is that Freya?
I would say that I'm very rare. I'm not the norm. Yeah, you do
Show
see
her
a lot
name.
of guys, and a lot of times when I say I'm a mother, people
What's your
are
name,
like,
bitch?
"Oh, really?" Like it's taboo or something to be a mother. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's really awesome to have kids. I think it's really awesome to have kids exposed to furry fandom. It's just a great experience for them too.
I know they're not going to show it. Yeah, see? Found Freya, guys.
You guys have a lot of fun, okay?
Are you shitting me? Oh, you cocksucker. Well? Give me a second, guys. Oh, YouTube wants to be fucking homo. Stupid. All right. It doesn't look like it's gonna let me go anymore. Fuck. You know what?